Welcome to our channel. Collectors are on the hunt, and these Washington quarters are the holy grail. Do you have one hiding in your stash? Watch till the end, you might just discover a treasure in your own collection. Imagine holding in your hand a small, everyday coin, one you might pass over without a second glance, but what if that very coin carried the legacy of a revolution, the story of a nation's birth, and a hidden value far beyond its face? That's exactly the case with the 2021 USA quarter dollar featuring the historic moment of George Washington crossing the Delaware River. This isn't just any quarter. It marks the return of the original Washington obverse design after more than 2 decades of the State Quarters and America the Beautiful series. But it's the reverse side that truly captures attention, a bold and striking scene of General Washington, standing in a Durham boat, leading his troops through icy waters in December of 1776. The image, based on one of the most iconic events in American history, speaks of courage, strategy, and the grit it took to forge a new nation. In 2021, the U.S. Mint released this special edition coin to commemorate the transition from the America the Beautiful series to a new chapter in American coinage. The Crossing the Delaware quarter was meant to be a bridge, a single-year issue standing between two major eras. It's a coin that many thought would simply be a placeholder, but collectors quickly noticed that it was anything but ordinary. At first glance, the coin looks like just another piece of modern currency. It features sharp details, Washington in his continental uniform, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword, gazing forward as his men row through treacherous waters. Above him, the words, United States of America, curve in bold type, and beneath the boat, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. The date, 2021, anchors the design, and just to the right, the denomination, quarter dollar. What sets this coin apart is not only its symbolic significance but also its rarity in certain varieties. Early in 2021, rumors began to spread among collectors and numismatists that some of these quarters had unique errors. A few were discovered with double dies, subtle, almost imperceptible anomalies to the untrained eye, but pure gold to seasoned collectors. Others showed off-center strikes, die chips that made it look like Washington was sailing through storm clouds, or slight misalignments that added to their uniqueness, but one specific quarter stood out, a pristine example, uncirculated, with a sharp die error and near-perfect luster. It was submitted for grading and came back with an astounding MS 68 grade. Suddenly, the whispers turned into a buzz. That single coin, struck in Philadelphia, went on to make headlines in numismatic circles when it was sold at a private auction for an incredible $25,000. Why would someone pay so much for a coin worth just 25 cents? It's the blend of rarity, condition, and historical narrative. This coin isn't just metal, it's a story. It's a moment in time captured forever in copper and nickel. It's George Washington, not just as a president, but as a fearless leader risking everything in the dead of winter to turn the tide of a war. To fully appreciate the value of this coin, we need to step back in time, back to that fateful night of December 25, 1776. The American Revolution was hanging by a thread. The Continental Army was cold, tired, and low on morale. Washington knew he needed a decisive victory to keep the revolution alive. So, under the cover of darkness and battling harsh winter conditions, he led his troops across the icy Delaware River to launch a surprise attack on the Hessian forces in Trenton, New Jersey. That bold move would become one of the most daring and successful operations of the war, revitalizing the cause for independence and securing Washington's legacy as a military genius. And now, centuries later, that same story is immortalized on a piece of metal no larger than a bottle cap. The artistry that went into the design is worth noting. The U.S. Mint's engravers paid meticulous attention to historical detail. The boat, the uniforms, even the water, they were all recreated with a precision that pays homage to the original event. In a way, it's like holding a miniature sculpture of American history in your hand. Collectors value this coin not only for its beauty and rarity but also for what it represents. It's a tribute to American resilience, ingenuity, and the will to persevere. And while most of these quarters will pass quietly through vending machines and pocket change, a few will find their way into the hands of those who understand their true worth. Let's explore the journey of how a coin like this gets to that level of prestige. When it comes to collectible coins, grading is everything. A coin might be rare, but if it's heavily worn or damaged, its value drops significantly. That's where professional grading services come in. Companies like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins based on strike quality, luster, eye appeal, and the presence of any flaws. A coin that earns a grade of MS68 or higher is considered to be in near-perfect condition, and that kind of status can transform a quarter into a treasure worth thousands. The 2021 Crossing the Delaware quarter caught the attention of grading experts because of its strong strike and high-quality die features. Some of the best examples showed exceptional clarity in Washington's facial features and clothing folds, details that often get lost in mass-produced coinage. And then, of course, there were the error coins. These mistakes, like die cracks or doubled dies, weren't flaws in the traditional sense. Instead, they were variations that turned common coins into one-of-a-kind collectibles. Word began spreading in online forums, coin shows, and collector communities. Videos started popping up on YouTube, blogs were written, and auction houses listed new finds. Every day people were checking their spare change with magnifying glasses, hoping to strike it rich. That's the magic of coin collecting, it turns the mundane into the magnificent. You don't have to be a historian or a millionaire. You just need a curious eye and a bit of luck, and then there's the market itself. Numismatic coins don't exist in a vacuum, they're part of a lively, competitive world of buyers and sellers. Dealers scout estate sales, auctions, and mint sets. Collectors network at conventions, trading and swapping coins to build the perfect set. The Crossing the Delaware quarter created a mini boom. Prices surged, then settled, then surged again as new varieties were discovered, but beyond the market trends and collector frenzy lies something deeper, a connection to the past. Holding that coin, you're not just holding currency. You're holding the culmination of centuries of struggle, vision, and courage. You're holding a symbol of how America began. And maybe, just maybe, you're holding something that could change your future. The 1985 one of most valuable rare coins to ever emerge from pocket change is the USA quarter. A simple 25-cent piece at face value, it has become a numismatic legend, captivating collectors around the globe. Most people glance at this coin without a second thought, unaware of the treasure that could lie within their spare change. But among the millions minted that year, a handful of these quarters possess unique characteristics, tiny minting anomalies, flawless surfaces, and stunning luster, that elevate their status from ordinary to extraordinary. What makes the 1985 quarter so valuable is a combination of rarity, condition, and historical timing. The mid-80s were a period of immense coin production, with billions of quarters pressed to meet economic demand. But even in that mass production, the unexpected happened. Some 1985 quarters left the U.S. Mint with doubled dies, off-center strikes, or unusually strong details that shouldn't exist. A few escaped into circulation before anyone noticed their peculiarities. These flaws, often caused by slight misalignments or pressure inconsistencies during the minting process, became the key to transforming a standard coin into an investment-grade collectible. To understand just how significant that is, imagine the journey of one of these quarters. It starts like every other, pressed from copper and nickel, stamped by massive machines, and packed into rolls for banks and businesses. But somewhere along the way, an error gives it a unique fingerprint. Then, instead of being spent or lost, it ends up in the hands of someone who sees its potential. A sharp-eyed hobbyist or an experienced collector sends it for grading, and that's when the magic begins. Grading services like PCGS and NGC analyze coins based on several criteria: luster, strike quality, surface preservation, and overall eye appeal. A coin receiving a grade of MS67 or higher is considered exceptional, especially for coins that were never intended to be saved or protected. Only a minuscule percentage of 1,985 quarters survive in such elite condition. These coins are then encapsulated in tamper-proof holders, labeled with their certification, and tracked in auction houses and collector registries, further enhancing their credibility and market value. Collectors started to take note. Word of rare variations spread like wildfire through coin shows, blogs, social media, and online forums. The buzz surrounding these quarters grew, and prices began to rise. Enthusiasts began examining every 1985 quarter they could find. A 1985 quarter with a sharply defined image of George Washington, a pristine surface, and a minor but distinct die error was discovered. Sent for grading, it came back with a high mint state score, MS67, from a top professional service. That grading instantly catapulted the coin from interesting to invaluable. Coin auctions can be fierce, and when a coin like this comes up, the bidding is nothing short of electric. Enthusiasts, investors, and historians compete for ownership, not just for the metal, but for the history it represents. These coins become conversation pieces, centerpieces of private collections, and investments with significant upside potential. As more collectors seek to complete high-grade quarter sets, coins like this 1985 rarity become increasingly desirable, and harder to find. That what's particularly fascinating is how coins like the 1985 quarter capture the imagination. They are a tangible link to the past, a snapshot of a year in American history. In 1985, Ronald Reagan began his second term as president, the space shuttle discovery made headlines, and the Cold War loomed large over geopolitics. Coins from that time feel like relics of those very moments, passed silently through countless transactions yet quietly preserving their era's legacy. This 1985 quarter isn't just rare, it tells a story. It speaks of a moment in American history when the economy was shifting, technology was advancing, and the culture was evolving. That context adds another layer of value, giving the coin not just monetary worth, but historical depth. For numismatists, this is what makes collecting so thrilling, the blend of art, history, and chance. Beyond history, there's also the allure of the treasure hunt. With modern coin roll hunting gaining popularity, thousands now search through bank rolls, change jars, and flea markets hoping to stumble upon one of these elusive gems. YouTube channels, TikToks, and podcasts share finds, grading tips, and stories of incredible discoveries. The 1985 quarter has fueled a movement, a shared passion that spans generations and connects people through the thrill of discovery, and it's not just collectors who find meaning in these quarters. Historians, educators, and even artists have embraced rare coins like the 1985 quarter as educational tools and sources of inspiration. Museums often feature error coins to explain how minting has evolved, and what these flaws teach us about technology and craftsmanship. Coin clubs across the country host lectures and workshops where stories of rare finds like this one are told again and again, each time rekindling the excitement and wonder of numismatics. There's also the emotional connection. Some collectors were gifted a jar of old change by a grandparent, only to find treasures within. Others turned their hobby into a full-time profession, tracing the journey of coins through decades and across borders. In that sense, a rare coin isn't just valuable, it's personal. It represents a shared journey through time, economics, and human connection, and for everyday people, it's a reminder that something truly valuable might be hiding in plain sight. Maybe it's at the bottom of a drawer, tucked in a forgotten jar, or resting quietly in a change tray. But if you take the time to look, you might just find a piece of the past that can change your future, and for one lucky person, that's exactly what happened, because this rare 1985 quarter was sold for an incredible $123,000. The 1981 quarter is one of the most valuable and mysterious coins to ever emerge from the world of American pocket change. On the surface, it looks like any other ordinary quarter, the kind of coin you might receive as change for a cup of coffee or find collecting dust in a drawer. But some of these quarters hold a secret, one that has caught the attention of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. Among the millions minted, a select few carry hidden details, remarkable mint errors, and incredibly high preservation that make them worth far more than 25 cents. To understand why this coin is so special, we need to travel back to 1981. The United States was entering a new decade filled with technological change, political shifts, and cultural evolution. Ronald Reagan had just taken office as the 40th president. The country was deep in the Cold War. Music was changing forever with the birth of MTV. And in the midst of all that transformation, the U.S. Mint quietly struck hundreds of millions of quarters, including the now legendary 1981 issue. The quarter features the familiar profile of George Washington on the obverse, a design by John Flanagan that has been a staple since 1932. But not all quarters are struck equally. During the minting process, any small variation or mistake can transform a common coin into an extraordinary piece of American history. Slight shifts in alignment, over-polished dies, or misfed planchets can lead to rare varieties that are highly prized in the collector's market. What most people don't realize is that the minting process, while largely automated, is still vulnerable to human error and machine wear. Over time, dies used to strike coins become worn, misaligned, or cracked. These imperfections can cause dramatic variations in the coins they produce. Sometimes, a coin is struck more than once. Other times, it might be off-center, or even struck on the wrong planchet. For collectors, these errors are like finding a fingerprint, a clue that something truly unique has been created. It's these kinds of mint errors that make certain 1981 quarters especially desirable. Some have doubled dies, meaning that the letters or images appear to be stamped twice. Others have die cracks that look like lightning bolts or raised lines running across the coin. There are also examples of full brockage, where the design from one coin is accidentally struck into another. These aren't flaws, they're marvels of minting history. A dramatic misstrike or an off-metal planchet can instantly catapult a coin from pocket change to museum-worthy. Collectors love chasing down these errors, and often rely on detailed references and catalogs that document each known variety. The 1981 quarter has several varieties that are eagerly sought after. For instance, the rare Type 2 reverse, commonly seen on proof sets, is a hallmark for collectors. Its sharply defined details and delicate features make it stand out. There are even stories of collectors discovering rare errors after decades, simply by taking the time to examine their childhood collections. And then there's condition. Most coins in circulation quickly become worn, scratched, and dull. But a tiny number, through sheer luck or immediate storage, survive in nearly perfect condition. These uncirculated coins are known as mint state, and they are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin with a grade of MS 67 or higher is considered exceptional. The higher the grade, the more the coin is worth. And for the 1981 quarter, top-graded examples are incredibly rare. In fact, only a handful have ever achieved the lofty grade of MS 68, and those coins are the stuff of legend among collectors. Collectors who specialize in modern coins spend years hunting for these pristine examples. They study auction records, consult experts, and pay close attention to die varieties and mint marks. A 1981 quarter from the Philadelphia Mint might be common, but one with an unusual error or a perfect strike can command serious attention. The Denver Mint, in particular, is known for producing some of the rarest examples that year. Coins from the San Francisco Mint, often intended for proof sets, have also been found with errors that drive up their desirability. What drives this obsession isn't just the value. It's the thrill of discovery. The idea that something so small, so ordinary, could hold so much significance. The 1981 quarter reminds us that treasure doesn't always come in the form of gold bars or ancient relics. Sometimes, it jingles quietly in your pocket. The community of coin collectors, also known as numismatists, shares stories of their finds through online forums, social media groups, and coin shows. Some recount tales of discovering a rare coin at a flea market, while others describe moments of surprise when they realized a childhood keepsake was actually a six-figure treasure. These experiences bond collectors across generations, cultures, and continents. Many of these collectors develop a lifelong passion for the hunt, attending coin shows, building relationships with dealers, and studying the nuances of grading and authentication. They learn to identify minute details that can mean the difference between a $5 coin and a $50,000 coin. For them, the journey is just as valuable as the destination. Coin clubs and exhibitions have also played a major role in spreading awareness about rare finds like the 1981 quarter. Museums and historical societies sometimes showcase these coins, not just as currency, but as artifacts that tell the story of a particular time and place in American history. Each coin has passed through many hands, witnessed decades of change, and somehow survived in remarkable form. Imagine the moment of discovery, a coin that seems just a bit shinier, a bit more perfect than the others. You take a closer look, maybe with a magnifying glass. You notice a slight doubling in the letters. You compare it with reference images online. You send it in for grading, hoping, just maybe, that this one is special. The wait for the grading results is filled with excitement and suspense, and then it happens. The results come back. Mint State 68. Near perfection. One of the finest known examples. You put it up for auction. Bidders from around the world compete to own it. The price rises. Higher. Then higher still, until, finally, the bidding stops. The final gavel falls. And your humble 1981 quarter, once lost in a sea of change, is now worth an astonishing $128,000. This is the magic of numismatics. It's not just about coins. It's about stories. It's about history. It's about the quiet thrill of holding a piece of the past in your hand, and realizing it could change your future. Coins like the 1981 quarter connect us to the past in tangible ways. They are small, round time capsules, each with its own journey. So check your change. Search through old drawers. Ask your grandparents if they have a jar of coins tucked away somewhere. Because among those quarters, there might just be a treasure waiting to be found. One with a story worth telling. One with a value beyond anything you imagined.